welcome back to those of you who are here on the first seminar with Dave Groot and Internet Safety. I'm Andrew Nicola. I'm the Adult Services and Outreach Coordinator here at Culpeper County Library. I'm the one that brings all sorts of neat little individual events that go on here in the Culpeper County Library system. But I'm certainly more than proud to reintroduce Dave Groot for Internet Safety here in Culpeper County. If you have any questions afterwards, give me a holler. I'd be more than happy to answer them. Thanks.
Hello, everybody. As Andrew mentioned, my name is Dave Groot, and I am happy to be here this evening. I guess I got to figure out this. There we go. So as I said, my name is Dave Groot. I'm the president of Windstar Technologies. I speak on cybersecurity quite often. I've had the opportunity to actually get on TV and spread the word. Wrote a book, done some presentations here in town. We enjoy getting the message of cybersecurity out, as it is a very important aspect of our lives today. Justin Groot, who's my son, is going to also participate in the presentation this afternoon. And he's had his share of opportunities. He's trying to outdo his dad best he can, make sure he can get as many speaking engagements and books written as possible. I want to just kind of start, this is part two, per se, of the cybersecurity, security, internet security, safety. And a couple of things that we didn't cover last time, just to kind of highlight, was we had discussed the evolution of crime and how cybercrime affects our lives today. So if you recall, for those of you who were here last time, for those of you who weren't, it used to be in a day, crime was driven by a guy hiding in a dark alley, waiting for a victim to come walking down the sidewalk, and he would come out with a knife or a gun or whatever and hold that person up, and he'd be able to steal something from them and make them the victim. And as anybody who's in business, right, criminals were taking advantage of the technology. So we then had a thing like a stagecoach, which allowed the criminal to then get 4 or 6 people at a time. And then we had the advent of trains, and now the robbers were robbing trains. And so as the evolution goes, we now have criminals who are utilizing the internet, which allows them to, instead of getting 1 person in an alley or 4 in a stagecoach, they can get hundreds of thousands or millions of people very easily, all from one location. They don't even have to go see them anymore, right? They just sit at their desk, wherever that might be, and they're able to affect damage. We also discussed last time a couple of ways that cyber criminals try and engage us or compromise us. One of the biggest methods is by the use of what is referred to as phishing. Phishing is obviously the practice of sending emails with some emotional attachment, some call to action, trying to get you to potentially open a file or click on a link, at which point some malware, some program behind the scenes is compromising your machine and taking control of your computer, or it's taking you to a website that looks like it's legitimate, but it's really a fake website that kind of looks like your bank, and they want you to put your username and your password in so that they can collect that information in a way that allows them to later on go to the real bank site and use that against you. So as I often say, we've come a long ways in technology with tools that allow us to be better protected, right? But the one element that really kind of stays in play, and that is really the weak part of the game, is the people, right? We're all people, and that's the part that they can get to. They figure out what's going to make you, oh my gosh, I got an order coming, or the IRS is looking for my tax return, or somebody filed something, and now I'm excited, or I'm scared, and I'm called to an action, and I'm going to do that. And if we could get the people out of the equation, cybercrime would really go down. Okay, obviously that's not going to happen. We're here to stay. But phishing, I'm going to tell you contradictory stories, but in this case, cyber criminals are not always polite, right? They take advantage of the thing of the day, right? So we see today, obviously, the TV is just flooded with coronavirus. Well, it's been documented time and time again, just in the last few weeks, where there are phishing emails being sent out. Hey, to get more information from the CDC on how to protect yourself from being quarantined, or what have you, click this link. They're not being very friendly. They're not being polite. They're trying to take advantage of this fear, and they're trying to get you to do something that you normally wouldn't do. Another technique that we discussed last time was what is referred to as smishing. And this is basically the same concept as phishing, but it's using your cell phone and text messaging. So if you have ever maybe potentially received a text message that says, hey, your password at your Google email account just changed, was that you? And you can type in yes or no and then respond. And then they say, oh, if it wasn't you, you say, no, I didn't just change my password. Oh my gosh, what's going on? And you say no, and they come back and they say, well, in a minute, we're going to have you, I need you to send back the code that comes to your phone. So all of a sudden, a numeric code comes into your text, and you send that back. And now, okay, we've got you taken care of, everything's good. Well, what happened there is the hacker is at Google, and they're saying, I need to reset your password. But Google says, oh, that's okay, because we know your phone number, so we're going to send you a little text message with a two-factor authentication or a security code. And that's the numbers that you just gave back to the hacker, so that the hacker can then do what? Change your password to your email. And of course, everything in our internet or electronic related life is controlled by our email. The most important thing you can protect is your email access, because everywhere you go online generally requires a username and a password for banks, for the library site, or anything where there's a membership or information that you want to get to. And there's always a forgot my password link, right? And when you click on that, they say, oh, type in your email address. We're going to send you an email that will give you a link. You click on that link and you can go change your password. That's how we know it's you. Again, it's authenticating that it's actually you who's requesting this. However, when the hacker gets control of your email, he can now go to the bank and say, hey, I forgot my password. I know their username because it's their email address in most cases. I'm going to get the email, I'm going to go to the link, I'm going to change the password, and now not only do I have access to your bank account, but you don't. That's a bad thing. So you want to protect your email. Smishing is a way that in most cases can be compromised. Again, using text messaging services. The other opportunity that the cyber criminals take advantage of is referred to as vishing. We have vishing, we have smishing, and we have vishing. Vishing is by voice. They get on the telephone, they call, they either get you on the phone and they try and act like they're somebody who they're not. Has anybody heard of like, hey, I'm your grandson, I'm in jail, I need some money, right? And you're thinking, okay, that sounds kind of like my grandson, right? And you don't know, right? And now you're emotional because your grandson's in jail, and you're like, oh my gosh, what can I do to help? And so they're using the telephone to extract information or to, again, call you to action. Hackers will oftentimes call the help desk at Verizon, or and they'll work their way through a process that makes the Verizon support technician think that they're you, and then they can get a password reset for your mobile system or for your account with Verizon. Just different examples of how that can happen. Any questions so far? Yes?
One thing I noticed that comes through on my AOL, I'm always suspicious of a mail there anyhow.
Right.
But here lately, when I've been on Amazon, I get an email that says, your account is about to be closed. Mm-hmm. Please send.
Oh. Right, it's striking emotion, right?
I knew I was on Amazon, not too recent. I thought,
right. So as you recall, last time we discussed the red flags of a phishing email. And for those of you who weren't here last time, there is a flyer on the back table that you can certainly take. But basically ways to look at that email message and determine, is this legitimate, right? Is it really what they say it is? And I can tell you, you know, in many cases it's not. The best rule of thumb is assume it isn't. And if you're not expecting an email, or if you don't have a way of verifying that that email is actually coming from who it says it is, delete it. Just, you know, be best served by not taking the action.
I've usually just been on, so
Right.
it's something from,
Well,
maybe it's.
here in a little bit, I'll show you potentially, I'm not, by no means am I saying this is what's happening, but a way, like, look, how often is it that you're, you know, today we have cookies on our computers, right? And those cookies, they know where you've been shopping. So you go and you're looking at mattresses, or you're looking at drapes, or you're doing whatever. Next thing you know, you log into Facebook and you're hit with ads that are about everything you've been looking at. That's just a cookie. But you swear somebody's in the room, right? They're listening to everything you're saying. You know, you have a conversation about something, next thing you know, there's, you know, some sign of that popping up somewhere on the internet. And of course, you know, all of these devices we have, as useful as they are, these mobile phones and the computers and everything else, they are, like Google is, you know, Google, it's not just Google, they're not evil, you know, but they're one of the bigger ones, right? They're tracking your movements. They know where you are by your phone. Like when you go in, has anybody ever seen on their phone, how would you rate your visit at Kohl's? I didn't tell my phone I was at Kohl's. What do you mean, how did I rate my visit? What are you talking about? How do you know I was at Kohl's, right? I mean, that's just because you have navigation and GPS, and it's just tracking your movements. And you kind of, when you buy the phone and you turn it on, we all go, there's this big screen and it's accept, right? And nobody reads that. They just, I got a new phone. You know, I'm happy to go. Well, you're telling Google it's okay. They're doing that with permission. So, not trying to, you know, say we shouldn't be using the advantages of those devices, but certainly be aware of what's happening and how that can affect you.
My opinion is, you know, I don't have a smartphone, and I will not have, just because of all of this.
Listen, I'm not going to tell you that's a bad idea. I mean, you know,
Well,
if
to
you,
me, it's a good idea.
okay, and certainly the power of what is in most people's front pocket today is ridiculous. I mean, you know, we used to have, you know, way back when we had dial-up internet access, right? And you had a, you know, and then you wait for 2 hours for something to come in, and there you are. And today, I mean, you know, it's like they say your watch has more technology in it than the guy who went to the moon, right? The first time, you know, I mean, it's not a joke. I mean, it's just kind of crazy. And so I'm not here to say you should or shouldn't have a smartphone. I understand your need to not have one. I can totally relate with that. And by no means will you hear me say that's a bad idea. So today we need to be on our best defense, right? And why is that? Well, every day we're seeing another example of a company or a site or a, you know, Anthem or a hospital or a school system. It wasn't very long ago down in Florida, there were 7 localities that were all breached at the same time. I mean, it's just constantly happening. So we need to be always in our best defense. Again, hackers are not very polite. The average time we find, Verizon did a study, and there's been many studies similar to this, that a hacker has been in a compromised system, whether that's a specific computer, a phone, a network, a company, is 100 days before they're found or even realized to be there. For 100 days, that hacker has had his way with our technology and our data and our very sensitive information. Generally, the timeline of a breach starts with being compromised. That happens in seconds maybe a minute or two. Then we go through the phase of exfiltration. This is where they're in your system now. We know that they're in there for a while on average. And what are they doing? They're removing data. They're whatever's important. They're collecting. They're watching. They're watching your habits. Where is it you go? What is your interest? What bank do you use? Here's your files. I'm taking those and typing them out to your computer, copying them somewhere where I can use them later to my advantage. They're exfiltrating your data. Then there's the discovery process, and that generally happens inside of weeks to months, maybe even up to a year before they're discovered. And then there's the containment in the timeline of breach. Compromise happens by bypassing those preventative measures, right? Our antivirus, our firewall. Those are the things, those are the tools that we put in place to protect us. But again, remember what I told you, what's the weakest thing? The people, right? So the people give permission for those things to be ignored. Then they go through the exfiltration, and they do this, you might have, if you're in a business, you're going to have tools that are watching things on the network all the time, and they're making sure that people have permission to go where they're supposed to go and do what they're supposed to do. But the problem is we're giving them permissions to do things like use OneDrive or Dropbox or file sharing sites where we would store our data in the cloud. And so when we give those permissions, the hacker uses those same tools to do his deeds, right? He wants to get files out of your computer or off your network and get them out. He's going to put them on OneDrive. Why? Because the things that are on your network are allowing that process. Discovery is generally somebody in the business recognizes something is wrong, or somebody, a person, individual, or law enforcement gets involved. The FBI is notified based on some activity at a bank account, where they're called because your mortgage broker thinks the wire transfer for your new house is actually not going to the right place. And then there's the expense of the containment. So, again, as I mentioned, generally initial access, there's two phases to a compromise. Is the initial access, and then what they call a foothold. Initial access is generally gained using common things, right? Common programs to us, the things we use every day. Microsoft Word, or Flash for a website, or Chrome for our web browser. These are the tools that are being utilized. And eventually, that initial compromise takes place. From there, they then try and establish a foothold. And a foothold is basically a persistent presence. So I'm going to send you an email, and I'm going to ask you to do something. Click a link, open a file, and I'm going to get control of your PC. And then I'm going to do something else that's going to make it so next time you turn your computer on, I don't need you to click a link anymore. I don't need you to open another attachment, because I'm going to have 100 days of fun before anybody knows I'm here. And I don't need you to re-compromise yourself each and every time, because my first step is going to be to establish that foothold. That foothold is the persistence, the presence that's going to stay. You can reboot your machine, you can turn off your phone, you can turn it off for a day, a night, a week, turn it back on. That hacker is made aware of the fact that the machine is back active and available, and they continue to do what it is they want to do to take your stuff and to compromise your information. Those footholds are established in pretty much one of three places, either when the machine first comes up after the compromise, or when a particular person logs in, or when a program or some other process is launched. That can be opening up my email, opening up my web browser. Some process that I would normally do takes place. At that point, they then have that persistent presence. Is there any questions at this point? So, how do they get in? How do they compromise this? How do they make this happen? Well, I've kind of already said it. They use things that we already are using, right? That we're familiar with, that we're comfortable with. So they abuse the legitimate processes that we already have. We have Microsoft Office, or we have Office 365, or we have Google, or we have Gmail. These are things that we already use and we encounter every day. So when we see those things on our computer, we don't think anything about it because they're standard, right? They're a legitimate process. They're things that we do. So again, they're going to kind of be somewhat stealthy and they're going to take advantage of what we know. So let me lay out kind of a scenario. I'm a hacker, and I'm really not, just for clarity's sake.
Is this what this is?
This is hacking 101. Did they not tell you we're going to teach you how to hack?
Is that what you for my social?
But I'm a hacker, and I'm trying to figure out how I can potentially get into, we'll say for lack of a better example today, a company's network system, right? I want to get in and get to the computers on a particular network at a company. So one way I might try and do that would be to start, first I'm going to do some legwork, right? I'm going to figure out as much as I can about this company. And I'm going to do what? I'm going to go to Google, I'm going to search, I'm going to go to their website, I'm going to look at who works there, I'm going to see, do they show the email addresses of these people? Well, generally speaking, a lot of websites have contact us, right? And when you see an email address, that to a hacker is like gold because that's your username, right? Like, now I know half of the thing I need to know to be you in this network, right? The other half's the password, but you're going to help me with that, okay? You're going to make that easy. So I start looking for a job at the company that I want to try and compromise. I go to a website and I search out, computer support specialist. I know support. That's a great place for me to start. And I find a job and I can see that on that job description, there's a button that says apply now. And if I click on that button, it's going to take me to the web page of the company that I'm trying to compromise. And I'm looking at the careers web page, the page that discusses, hey, we've got jobs available, and if you click on the link for the Human Resources Department, we'll get you started. Okay, you're going to apply for a job, and you're like, whew, this is great. So they click on the Human Resources link, and they're taken to a form. Now, this hacker, I'm a hacker who's polite. I just want you to know. Not all hackers are impolite. Some are very kind. They're extremely nice. So they might, put their name in, and their email address, their phone number and their address, and then they'll attach their resume. Now, basically I'm trying to engage what? The Human Resources Department of a company whose interest I have garnered, and I want to see what I can do. I'm going to try and send this message to the Human Resources Department, and I'm going to be, again, very polite. Hey, is that my attached resume? As you can see, I've been really working hard to become very good at being a support specialist. I think you'll find me to be extremely qualified. Thanks for your interest. I send that away, and the email with the attachment gets sent to the Human Resources Department. Now, if you can bear with me for just a moment, at this point, I'm going to have Justin come help me because we're going to actually show you the process of how the hacker would do this, okay? So Justin's going to drive because A, he's better at hacking than I am, and B, it's a two-man show, right? We gotta have a little bit of coordination here. So what we have here today, folks, is an environment that we've been able to bring to you and set up that is two what we call virtual machines, right? They're not real computers. First off, we're not really hacking anybody. We are certainly following the same steps that a hacker would take, but there's nobody being harmed. All are protected today. We have a virtual machine that is the HR department's Windows desktop machine, right? The person who's running the HR. And then we have a machine that is the hacker's machine. Now, folks, while Justin kind of gets us set up here, hackers sometimes there are these guys sitting in a basement with nothing better to do. I mean, I'm not going to say the stereotype's completely wrong, but today these hackers are people that, you know, Ukraine, Russia, China, North Korea, these are teams of people whose role in life is to hack. Like, we are currently, you know, don't want to get too crazy here, but we're at war. I mean, that's just generally what's happening. Nobody's seeing it that way, but countries are coming after us, and frankly, we're going after them. So we're not without our own, you know, hacking teams. We have military divisions that are nothing but hackers. Their whole job is to try and get into the systems of Russia, try and get into the systems of Iran, try and get into the systems of China. They're trying to come in and take down our electric grid. They're trying to take down our financial systems. They're trying to take down our businesses, our way of life. They're trying to take down our individual people. They want to, like, anything they can do to slow us down makes their day. And if you're in North Korea and you're told you and your family can have a dinner tonight, or you can work at a labor camp, you're going to be motivated, right? That's what's happening. This is not, I'm not trying to, this is what you're facing. This is what you're dealing with. So this is not just, you know, a joke. It's the real deal. So again, we have two virtual machines. We have a Windows desktop, which is the HR department. And then Justin's going to show you, this is the computer screen of the hacker. And you can kind of see on this screen, really, this is like an old, you know, if anybody remembers before Windows was around, we had DOS or a command line environment. This is sort of like that. And the hackers, this is their world. They like this. They don't want a mouse. They type stuff all day. So he's just kind of sitting here doing nothing. He's got this little program running, and it's just listening. You'll hear people refer to the command and control center. So like, basically a hacker tries to compromise you. They try and get a foothold on that network or on that machine. And that foothold, or those programs or processes that they're installing onto these computers, is going back to a command center and saying, we're here, we're ready. Do what you need to do. Okay, so he's just sitting there waiting for it. He sent out a couple thousand resumes today. Right? He's looking for one person, or two, or 10, or 100. They'll take them all to open up that resume. So if we go back to the HR department, as you remember, we filled out a form. We put down our information. We attached our Word document, and we sent it into the HR department. Now, the HR department's job is to read resumes, right? And then to interview people. They're looking for qualified candidates. So their whole purpose in life is to get these emails. Like, that's what they do. So when we open up the email, we see, you know, this is the stuff, right, that I typed in. Hey, accept my, I've been working really hard, I'm highly qualified. And you'll notice there's an attachment on the email, and it's a Word document. It's the file that I attached in that form. And if you highlight that attachment, you'll see that it's going to bring up, again, I'm a polite hacker, right? So I protected my Word document. I made it secure. And I gave you instructions how to open it. Okay? It says, hey, you got to preview this document, you need to, you know, you got to open it up. You got to use the Word. So if it was downloaded from your email, go ahead and click Enable Editing. So when we open up the file, we have this same screen, and it's saying, hey, click the Enable the Editing button in the yellow bar so that you can read this protected email. And now, this looks like it's coming from Microsoft, right? I mean, this is not, you know, my text message in the email. This is a official screen. So then it says, hey, if you've done that, you may see another button that says you need to enable the content. So I'm a good HR person, and I want to find a good qualified candidate for a support desktop specialist. I'm going to enable that content, and I'm going to get an error. It says, oh, you don't have the right version of Word to open up this file. Now, at that point, I might just say, you know what, I'm done. Guy blew it. Yeah, I mean, not a very great support specialist because he can't even send me a document I can open up and look at. Or what I might do is say, you know what, I got an older version of Word on my computer, but I know that John over here, he's got the newest computer in the office. Maybe he's got the right version. Now I'm going to send it to John. Hey, John, do me a favor and open up this email and see if you can get that attachment because I really want to see if this guy's got what it takes. Meanwhile, I'm going to click OK to get rid of my message, and going back to the hacker's screen, you'll see, oh, something happened. Now, all we did was open up that attachment, we got an error message, and we are done. But at this point, the compromise has taken place, right? Now, when you opened up that attachment, an embedded program in the Word file contacted the control command center and said, we are ready. We're you. And hackers said, whew, I got a hit. Off I go. That phishing email campaign really worked out. So we're going to start an interaction from my console. I'm sitting in Ukraine or somewhere crazy, right? I'm not in Culpeper here, but I'm having fun. And I'm going to try and get that foothold, right? Remember I told you, because what's important is tomorrow I don't want to have to go through the same step. I want to just be able to know that you turned your computer back on, and I want to be able to go further. So one command and bingo, successfully set foothold. We're done for the day. I mean, we're not, but you could be, because now I've got time. I'm okay. I might wait until you go to sleep. Who knows? Maybe you can leave your computer on. But I've got that foothold. Now, once the session's open and we've got that, we can start to do things to this computer. I can potentially do a directory. I can look and see what files are on that computer, right? So I can go and I can say, what's in the documents folder? And we put a command in and we say, look at the users folder. And bingo, I'm seeing, Outlook files, offsite passwords, a bunch of different PDF documents, text documents, the My Pictures, the My Music. That's the directory. That's everything that's in there. And I say, boy, that offsite passwords file looks relatively interesting. Maybe I'll take a look at it. So I put another command into the console, and we're cheating. We're copying and pasting as opposed to having to take the time to type it. And bingo. I've got it downloaded, and now I want to look at it. And I have to do another command real quick. Now I'm working hard. Just want you to know. But in a moment, if everything goes well, the payoff is going to be that I'm going to be able to look at the contents of this. Bingo. There's the file. This computer is sitting in, let's just say for our example today, it's in Culpeper, the Windows computer, right? I just downloaded the file. I'm sitting in Ukraine. I got a firewall. The Human Resources Department has a firewall. They've got antivirus. They've got all kinds of things going on. They're trying to protect themselves, but guess what? I have a foothold. Okay? So I'm able to look at these different files, and you can see this is back on the HR department. These are the different files, just to kind of show you that they're really there. Right? We're showing you that it's true stuff. The next thing I might want to do is kind of see what it is you're typing. Maybe you're going to go log into your bank account, or you're going to log into, I don't know, QuickBooks.com or something like that. So, back at the hacker's machine, we're going to put again one command. And now what we're doing is we're starting what is called a keystroke sniffer. This is just a little program that's listening for the things that the person on the other side is typing. So the person on the other side goes to their QuickBooks and they get ready to log in and they put in their username, which, well, anybody got a username? No, don't tell me your username. We'll just say user1 or something for lack of creativity. And then the password is, I really don't like passwords, right? With an exclamation point at the end because that makes it secure. And if we go back to our hackers, they can type in another quick command, and There's the, user 1, I don't like password. Right? With a shift and then an exclamation point. So it's tracking everything I'm typing. Now, again, last time we discussed the dark web. The dark web is part of the internet where the people who are not so great spend a lot of their time, these hackers. Folks, we hear about the breaches, right? We hear about Anthem. We hear about, Target, all these different folks, and they say people's social security numbers were taken, or their usernames and their passwords, or their credit card numbers, or what have you. And what happens is these hackers, they get this data, right? They breach a company's site, and they take this data and they go to the dark web and they open up a store. And they say, hey, $2, I'll give you a social security number. Now, $2 doesn't sound like a lot, but if I do that with 100,000 social security numbers and I sell each one of those 50 times, I'm doing okay, right? The dark web is a place where a guy who doesn't really know how to hack, all he needs to do is know how to get to the dark web, and he can buy hacks, like pre-made, like step 1, step 2, step 3, do these things. These hacking utilities even have help files. Like, we can type help, and it tells you, here's the things you need to do. Here's the command you need to type. I can see, I don't know, Justin Squirrel, what's something you want to try and do? Idle time. I want to know if you went to bed yet. So I want to know if the machine's sitting still, right? Or, so I type in idle time, it tells me 2 minutes, 8 seconds that computer's been sitting still. I can, go back through the help file and I can pick out any, various commands. I can get the system information about the computer. I can send keyboard strokes to the computer. I can pretty much do whatever it is I please with this computer. And keep in mind, the user, on the other side is not an administrator, right? You're just a regular level user with normal use privileges. And I'm just doing whatever it is I need to do. I'll give you a couple of quick examples. We won't show you everything here, but he's sending a command to the keyboard. So if we type that in, we should be able to go back here, and we're not going to be able to see that password, are we? Yeah, go in that box and then send the command again, and you'll see that ABC gets added. So we're sending those keystrokes back. I could potentially see if there's a camera connected to the laptop, right? Maybe I'll turn the camera on and see if anybody's sitting there, okay? Or I can look at the desktop. I can see a snapshot of what you got open or what you're doing. I can kind of stream these things and watch what's happening. All kinds of different stuff I can do. The other thing I can do is I can now, I've got a foothold, and I'm going to upload some more bad programs to your computer to do more things. Now, I've been able to ascertain you're in bed, computer's been idle for 25 minutes, it's a pretty good chance you're watching TV or you're just not there, what have you. So I'm able to now start sending my payloads up to the computer. I'm uploading. So we've uploaded a ransomware file, right? Everybody knows what ransomware is. Hackers get a hold of your data, they encrypt it so you can't open it, you can't read it, and then they say if you pay a ransom, we'll help you get your files back. Okay? So, hence the word ransomware. By sending that up and then running the program, I executed the program, so I ran it from Ukraine or wherever I'm at. Bingo, hopefully nobody's ever seen a screen similar to this. I get a little message that pops up on the user's computer, and it says, hey, we've encrypted all your files. Here's the instructions to pay us. You're going to pay us in what? You're going to pay us in Bitcoins, which is not a real, it's not dollars and cents. It's an electronic currency. Why? Because it's not traceable, right? I don't want the cops knocking on my door. I just want you to pay me. So I'm kind. I'm polite. Remember, polite hacker Dave. I'm going to give you instructions. Hey, go right here. You can buy the Bitcoins. I'm going to teach you how. I'm going to show you how to get them to me. Then I'm going to be helpful, and I'm going to send you the instructions to get your files back. Okay? And hopefully, if you pay the ransom, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend you do, hopefully they give you that stuff and they help you get your files back. Any questions so far about? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, they're always talking about two-factor
Authentication.
authentication type thing, like my bank wants me to do a second layer.
That's right.
And I haven't done it, but initially I was told by an FBI that the system Bank of America had at the time, it was a picture and then your password.
Yeah.
And did it work? Does that stop or slow them down?
Look, all these things are good, right? So you will not hear me say do not use two-factor authentication. Certainly I'm going to tell you you should. And it does, in many cases, stop or slow
Or they're
you
going to
down.
go to something easier?
That's right. I'm bored. Like, if I got to work to get this, I'm moving on, right? Now, no guarantees there, but so anything you can do to add an extra layer of protection, and I know what I often see happening for individuals, businesses, and the security means inconvenience, right? I mean, it's another step I have to
At
take.
work, people used to keep lists of
Sure they do.
passwords, and now I notice though some of them are saying your first 10 passwords don't count.
That's right, because they
And
get
that
caught
kind
on to
of-
all that, or they won't let you just change one character, right? Like, password 1 this week, the next week is
Yeah,
password
right.
2, and
That's
then
exactly
password
what
3.
they're doing.
Because again, what are we trying to do? We're trying to, as an industry, we're trying to protect you best we can. So we're forcing you to be somewhat inconvenient.
And it's very annoying when you get into work and you find, oh, I gotta change my password.
Right.
It's a way to ruin your day, right?
Right. No, I mean, that's an example of, the vishing thing I told you earlier is like, if I'm a hacker, what I might do is just start calling different extensions at companies and saying, I'm the support department calling about your ticket. Now, the first 20 people might say, what ticket? I didn't put a support incident in, but all of a sudden somebody's sitting there waiting. Like, I did support it. I did request it. Hey, oh, great support. Yeah, please, do me a favor, go to this website, do this, that, and the other. I'll get in the machine, we'll help you out, and you're all taken care of. Okay, that's just vishing. Again, some are polite, some are not. But they don't follow the rules. Okay, there is polite and decent are two different words, right? No decency going on. All right, so that kind of takes us back. We're out of the hacking demo. Is there any questions that I can answer about that particular thing? I have a few minutes left, and I just want to wrap up here with a couple of key takeaways. And some of the takeaways is, I hope you can understand that the landscape, the threat landscape is changing every day, right? I can remember back in 1994 when I think the library actually was just getting on the internet. This building was just being opened. And what we worried about back then for security and what we worry about today, totally different ballgame, right? We didn't even have a concept of what we were needing to think about 10 years down the road. So the landscape has and continues to change. And ideally, it's important to understand that perfect prevention is not going to happen, right? There's no guarantees. Folks, we're hearing about these companies that are being breached. These are not companies without money, without IT departments, without savvy people with good skills. And these are people who are very talented. And yes, they're doing as much as they can to protect their information, their data. But there's no guarantees. Anybody can be hacked. Anybody. Just takes the right steps, the right amount of time.
One thing that I find interesting is I started in medical records way before computers got started.
Right.
And one thing they wanted to do when they wanted to use your social security as your
Sure.
medical record number.
Right.
And they were all gung-ho on that. Now,
Well, now it's, but look, I'm not here to just be, preaching the doom and gloom of the technology world and everything, but the reality is, for a good majority of our population, our social security numbers are for sale today on the dark web, right? I mean, it's what we're trying to do is, today it's about staying, defensive, right? Being on a good defense, staying on top of our information, knowing what it is about us that's available on the internet.
Gosh, I mean, 30 years ago, your social security number was your driver's license number.
That's right. I don't even think it was 30 years ago. I mean,
It could have been,
it was 20. I mean, I guess I'm getting old. Maybe it is about 30 years. Sorry. You're killing me. It was right there for everybody to see and do, right? And nobody thought, oh my gosh, that's a bad thing for somebody to know or have or see. But today, it's everything in our world is tied to that social security number. And so you can reduce your risk by knowing thyself, right? What does that mean? That means be aware, as we talked about in the last security class, of what it is you're putting out there, right? When you're on Facebook and you're posting about things that you care about, and that's in, make sure you're posting that to your intended audience, right? Don't just put it up on the wall for the whole world to see. Be selective. Be careful what you're doing. And then, I tell people often, just go to Google and search yourself out. Just do a search. Find out what you can is available and out there, because Hacker Dave is going to do some searching, and he's going to find out as much as he can about you. He's going to find out who your friends are. He's going to find out who has common interests, who uses the same bank, who uses Yahoo email or Google email. All those things are important to me, because if I can get one, I can get 10, right? Use the email safety lessons, right? The red flags. Folks, again, I can't emphasize enough, do not click links, do not open attachments unless you are 100% sure that it's real. Call people if you have any doubt. Hey, did you just send me an email? If Kohl's is having a sale and it's the purse you've been wanting forever and it's only $10 this week, don't click the link in the email. Just go to Kohls.com and look for the purse, okay? And then now I can buy it for $10. I don't need to go from the email, okay? Every day I get an email, at least twice a week. Such and such wants you to connect with them on LinkedIn or on Facebook, okay? If you want to connect with them, go to the LinkedIn website and it'll show you the people who are trying to connect with you, and then say you want to connect. Don't click the link in the email, because Hacker Dave is going to use things that are common to you, right? Those legitimate processes that you already use every day. Keep your devices updated. That's a big one. Make sure you're doing the Windows patching, the phone patching. Folks, our TVs are connected to the internet. We have Alexa, we have Siri, we have all those devices get updates all the time. And if a hacker knows that there's a problem or a vulnerability in one of those devices, the first thing they're going to do is check and see who hasn't patched that device to block that vulnerability. And then they're going to take advantage of that. They're going to come into your network at home. They're going to get into your wireless router. How many times I've done it. I go to the store, I need a new router. I buy it, I go home, I take it out of the box, I plug it in, I turn it on, and bingo, I'm on the internet. I don't change passwords, I don't update it, I don't do anything, right? Today I do, because I know, but I've done it. And so anything that you're using like that needs to be updated. You want to do what you can to reduce your risk and minimize it? How can you do that? Well, first you can ask. Always seek knowledge. Okay? The key to this is keeping yourself educated. That's not key, right? Keep educating yourself. But keeping yourself educated is the KYE version of key. Look, information is everything. Knowledge is power, right? We can't fight the battle if we don't know what we're fighting. I hope the demo that we showed you today just gives you a small insight as to some of the tactics and the way these things happen. And again, nothing alarming took place, right? We opened up an email attachment. Nothing, I didn't get the bells and whistles, and the antivirus didn't jump up and say, whoa, this is a bad thing. I just said, oh, it won't open. Now I'm moving on with my day. But this hacker has access. Again, I'll just reemphasize, system updates, TVs, tablets, phones, everything gets updates. Don't be ignoring those updates. I know that that's, you don't have to worry about it, so, because your smartphone's you don't have
I
it.
used to ignore the Windows updates.
It's a pain. I mean, the little pop-up comes up and says, you got Windows, oh, mine, I don't want to do it now. I'm shopping. I'm busy. I'm doing something. I'll do it later. No. Take the updates. Get them done. Keep yourself as prepared and safe as you can.
Well, and when Windows updated a while back, it would mess your computer up a bit,
It can, and today, they've got a lot better. However, it's not a guarantee. I mean, there can still be problems.
On Windows 10, but I initially started out on 98.
I know, right? Listen, 98 was horrendous. I mean, every update you put on there was almost guaranteed to make your computer break. It's not quite as bad today, and but I guess I would take that over being breached and having my, my life's work, my investment accounts, my banks, my all, I want to keep my quality of life, right? So that's what I'm looking to do. Now, it's possible that I've kind of invoked a bit of fear in you folks today, and I really hope that's not what I did, but fear has two meanings. It means you can either forget everything and run, right? Which I hope you don't do. Face everything and rise. The choice is yours. And that takes us to the end. Again, my name is Dave. Justin. We do this for a living. I don't know if anybody knows who the little doll is here. This is called Baby Groot. He's in a superhero movie. I am Groot. That's me. I'm Dave Groot. This is Justin Groot. I appreciate your time. I hope you all enjoyed it. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Other than that, I want you to have a great night. Yes, sir.
So I got two questions. One of them is, I know with the phishing emails,
Yes,
and they're kind of just trying to get you to click on it.
that's right.
And is it the same thing with text message? I mean, I know that you said that, they're just like, say yes or no, but when I get a text, if it's saying, like, just for me, like, for the past week, I've gotten 2 messages saying, hey, we've tried to deliver this package, you weren't home, and then it has a link in my text message.
Right.
And
That is a smishing example.
I'm very aware of what I order and what I don't, and I know I don't have a package, so I just deleted it. Is it the same thing? They're just trying to get me
That's
to
exactly
click
right.
on the link.
Yeah, because if they can get malware on your phone, right, which again, clicking the link does what? It causes the compromise in many cases, not every time, but if I click that link thinking it's legitimate, and it sends out a command now to the command and control center, and it downloads something very quick and executes it behind the scenes, I've now got malware on your phone. Now that may not impact you right this minute, but again, what do we do on our phones? Everything.
Yeah.
Right? Everything is done on the phones. You're banking, you're conducting business, everything. So you hear every day of a new malware, an Android malware. China has an app that's available in the Google Store. You download the app, and next thing you know, they're you have to give the app permissions, right? When you install it, it says you're giving this app permissions to access your pictures, your files, your location, your phone number, your contacts, and it's an app that does something goofy that has no bearing on any of those things, but you have to click accept in order for that app to install and to run. So now you're installing that app, it's a piece of malware embedded inside the app. Yeah, it does everything they say it's going to do, but it's also got other things that it's doing to you, and it's tracking that information and sending back. So the answer to your question is absolutely that is a classic smishing example. You got another?
So like for the OneDrive and the Dropbox, nowadays more companies are utilizing these type of
Sure. Yeah,
materials.
we use them every